Reproduction. It's, one of the most basic things in nature, but it's also one of the most wildly diverse. In this explainer, we're going to take a look at the incredible clocks that control the cycles of life, from the super fast cycle of a mouse to the absolutely epic pregnancy of an elephant. Okay, right off the bat, I want to challenge something you probably think is, normal. As humans, we kind of see our own cycle as the default setting, but it turns out we're actually the weird ones. The vast majority of mammals, they do things completely differently. This is a journey into just how unique we and our primate cousins really are. So what even is a reproductive cycle? At its core, you can think of it as nature's ultimate prep plan. It's this really complex dance of hormones and physical changes happening inside the female body. And it's all got one goal in mind, making everything just perfect for a potential pregnancy. All right, so to really appreciate all the wild variations out there, we need a starting point. We have to understand our own baseline first. The human cycle is going to be our reference for everything else we look at today. It's a model you're probably familiar with, but the specific steps are what make it so unique. That familiar 28-day human cycle can be broken down into 4 main parts. It kicks off with the menstrual phase, then that's followed by the follicular phase, which is when the body gets an egg ready. Then you've got the main event, ovulation, when the egg is released. And finally, the luteal phase, which prepares the uterus for a possible pregnancy. And if that doesn't happen, the whole system just resets and starts all over again. 28. It's the number we all know, right? But it's so important to remember that it's just an average. In reality, a totally healthy human cycle can be anywhere from 21 to 35 days. That kind of variability is completely normal and just goes to show that even within our own species, there's no single rigid clock. Okay, so now let's zoom out just a little bit and look at our closest evolutionary cousins. By comparing ourselves to other primates, we can start to see where our own cycle fits into the bigger picture. Are we exactly the same? Nope, not at all, and the differences are really fascinating. So check this out. You can see some subtle but really important differences here. A chimpanzee cycle is a bit longer, their pregnancy a little shorter. But the real game changer is that last line, fertility signs. While human ovulation is pretty hidden, in chimpanzees, it's advertised loud and clear with really obvious physical swelling. This is a huge fork in the evolutionary road. Some scientists even think the concealed ovulation in our ancestors might have been what encouraged long-term relationships and pair bonding. And here we are, right back to that bombshell from the beginning. This is the key thing to know about primates. Having a true menstrual cycle where the uterine lining is actually shed and you see bleeding is incredibly rare. Most other mammals just reabsorb the lining if pregnancy doesn't happen. It's a special trait we share with apes and some monkeys, but that's about it. Now let's zoom way out from our primate family tree and look at reproduction on a truly epic scale. When we start talking about the giants of the animal kingdom, the timelines, they become absolutely mind-boggling. Just take a second and think about it. A human pregnancy is about 9 months. So what do you think is the absolute longest gestation period on the entire planet? Any guesses? 660 days. Just let that number sink in for a minute. That's almost 2 full years. It is almost impossible to imagine being pregnant for that long. And this is the incredible animal that holds the record, the African elephant. Not only are they pregnant for 22 months, but their window of opportunity to even get pregnant is tiny. Just a few days of fertility once every 4 months. Talk about high stakes for a successful conception. Okay, from the totally epic to the everyday. let's bring this whole conversation back home. We've talked about us, our primate relatives, and giants. But what about the animals we actually share our houses with? Understanding the cycles of our cats and dogs tells us a ton about that non-primate majority. This is a really important point. Your cat or your dog doesn't actually have a menstrual cycle. They go through something called an estrus cycle. So instead of shedding their uterine lining, they just reabsorb it. That fertile period is what we all call being in heat, and it's a fundamentally different biological process than what humans go through. And even between cats and dogs, there's a huge difference. Cats are what we call seasonal breeders. They go into heat again and again during the months with more daylight. It's an evolutionary trick to make sure kittens are born in the spring and summer when their chances of survival are way higher. Dogs, on the other hand, usually only cycle twice a year, no matter what season it is. Now, if you've ever had a cat, some of these signs might be all too familiar. That constant loud meowing, the intense rubbing on you, on the furniture, on everything, that specific posture, and that desperate, single-minded mission to get outside. These aren't just random quirks. They are powerful, instinctual signals designed to do one thing: attract a mate. Dogs, well, they have a completely different set of signs. There's visible swelling and a discharge, which people often mistake for a period, but it's really a signal that the fertile window is coming. They also use scent marking, peeing more often to broadcast their status to every male dog in the neighborhood. It's a totally different communication strategy. So, we've gone from the 28-day human cycle all the way up to the 22-month elephant pregnancy. What does all this incredible variety actually mean? Is there some kind of pattern hiding in all this data? Well, the answer is a definite yes. This slide just lays it all out, and the progression is, well, it's striking. A mouse takes less than 3 weeks. A rabbit, about a month. Cats and dogs, around 2 months. And from there, it just keeps climbing. Humans, horses, whales, and then finally, the elephant, sitting way up at the top. The pattern is just undeniable. And this is the big idea that ties it all together. It's a pretty solid rule of thumb in biology. The bigger the animal and the more complex its body is, the longer it needs to develop before it's born. A longer pregnancy is basically an investment in a more developed, more capable offspring. So what's the why behind all this? Why does an elephant need 22 whole months? It really comes down to development, especially brain development. All that extra time in the womb allows for a bigger, much more complex brain and body to grow, giving that newborn a way better shot at survival right from the start. It's evolution's classic trade-off between time and complexity. So we'll end on this question. From the super fast cycle of a mouse that produces huge litters to the slow, careful, deliberate cycle of an elephant that produces a single, highly developed baby, each strategy is a perfect adaptation for its environment. It just shows us that there's no one right way to survive, just a bunch of different, equally successful solutions to the most fundamental challenge of all: continuing life. Thanks for watching.